I'm amazed that the people have gotten away with the protests. I think the last thing I heard was 9 cities. Does that sound about right, IQ?
31 provinces, 80 cities.
80 cities. So are we talking about an insurrection here, IQ?
An uprising. Insurrection, you need weapons. They don't have weapons. It's like the same thing at the 6th of January. They don't have weapons. This is not an insurrection. This is an uprising.
So, but I seem to have remember seeing a story yesterday where there were some groups that were smuggling weapons into the people this week.
Who was showing it to you? The Iranian government? It's a
No, I
job.
think I saw it on. I know I saw it on the internet. I can't tell you what the source
Well,
was.
I'll tell you, the regime is already accusing Israel, accusing United Arab Emirates, the Saudi Arabia, and America of interfering. This is an internal affair. This is an uprising by the people who have had 44 years of misery. Anybody in Iran below the age of 44 has never known anything except Sharia Islam, the most oppressive system on earth. It's that simple, it's not complicated.
So where's it going, IQ?
Well, as I said, it depends on the Biden administration. If you remember, the Obama in 2009, when the Iranians also had a revolution, he didn't support them. He let them down. Europeans let them down. The feminists let them down. It was exactly the same, for the same reason. Obama had the audacity during the uprising of the so-called Arab Spring to remove a president of Egypt from power. He told him, you have to go. Biden has exactly the same position now. He tells the Ayatollahs, you have to go. He will not do it. What America needs to do now is to send a carrier battle group literally to the Gulf. Not to do anything, just to show up. To show the Iranian people that there is support. Whether it's physical or not is irrelevant. It's a moral thing. But at the moment, nobody is supporting them. The feminists are not supporting them. Ilhan Omar, of course, she's a Muslim, so she will not support them. Rashida Tlaib, another Muslim, another terrorist, another traitor in America, and they allow her, and they allow Ilhan Omar. You have a corrupt system in America today. You have corruption, complete corruption.
But IQ, I don't see President Biden getting involved, because if there's anything that he wants more than anything else, is he wants the nuclear accord to be re-signed and reinstituted with Iran. So I can't imagine he would do anything that would jeopardize, unless his national security advisors tell him that this government's going to get overthrown, and you better be on the side of the people.
I can't see that happening, to tell the truth. Look, what I find is the extreme level of duplicity and hypocrisy. He is the same president who accused Saudi Arabia of bad behavior with women, no rights. And yet the worst terrorist organization or group, government in the world which supports terrorism, Iran, they support her. If he wants to continue with the nuclear agreement, he would have to release $70 billion to the Iranian terrorist regime. All the blood of Americans in the future, all the blood of Europeans in the future will belong to him, to be on his hand.
Well, I know this is going to sound crazy to say it, but $70 billion in the relative scheme of things of Biden giving away trillions is not a lot. And if it gets him what he wants, I wouldn't put it past him to do it.
He should be executed. I don't know what you're talking about. He as commander-in-chief, as president of America, who's not defending the borders of America, he's not defending America's security, he is subverting America's security, he should be put on trial, impeached, if found guilty, executed. Sorry. I mean, I know I shouldn't say these things, but don't forget, I'm not an American citizen. I have the right to speak the way I need, that I know is correct. I know for a fact that he's anti-American, 100%, and everything he has done is to subvert America, to subvert the Constitution, and to undermine the security and well-being of American citizens. What are we discussing now? You have inflation going up. The gas prices are going up again.
Right.
He is accusing the gas people and oil people of complicity. He is the one who's complicit. He is the one who is guilty. He is the one who's not willing to change track. He is undermining American security and American safety and American social future. So, you know, I cannot mince my words. I'm on a war path at the moment. Really, I'm on a war path. I'll tell you why. If this uprising succeeds in any way, shape, or form by allowing the liberation of the women of Iran, it will affect 750 million women in Islam. This is the greatest liberation movement in the history of mankind. And Biden is going to miss it. There's no question about it in my mind. I want you to think about this. 750 million oppressed women under Sharia in Islamic states, in 57 Muslim majority states, will be liberated if this one succeeds.
Well, I think, as I recall, IQ, that the Iranian version of Islam is the most radical sect. And it's also the minority of the Islam belief, but it's the most radical of the two, the Shia and the Sunnis. So it seems to me that if the most radical side of Islam decides change what it's doing with women, you're right. It has probably a very significant impact on the more conservative or liberal side of Islam. But whether that's going to happen or not, I mean, are we in a situation where the Ayatollahs are on the army to go out and kill all these people?
No, the army will not go against. The army, but attacking civilians, by the way. The police, the IRGC, which is the Republican defenders of the state, they are going against the people. And when you speak about radical Islam, with all due respect, they are both reading the same Quran. So, although they are a minority in the sense they are 15% Shia and 85% Sunnis, they are no more radical than the ones in Saudi Arabia. They're not. They are reading exactly the same books, the same verses, the same message, and they hate non-Muslims in exactly the same level. The only difference is that the Shia believe that the leader of Islam should be one of the bloodline of Muhammad, and the Sunnis believe no, any Muslim who is capable and decent can be Khalifa or the leader of Islam. That's the only difference between the two. Otherwise, their hatred is exactly the same level. Their display of disrespect to women or the females of the human species is exactly the same level.
So, Jim.
Well, personally, before we move on, my view on this is the reason why the United States will not jump in and do anything is because it doesn't matter if you watch the Fox Newses of the world or you watch the Young Turks of the world. Iran is the big boogeyman. So the corporate Democrats, the corporate Republicans are not going to do nothing, because if if we go over and help them, then the right doesn't have a boogeyman. If we go over and help them, the Democrats don't have a boogeyman. It's always the boogeyman. But that's just my opinion. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was going to say something that you just kind of add a little more wood on the fire. I want to speak honestly and kindly to my colleague in London about what he said about President Biden. I agree that he's not the best possible president we could have. But I want to make a point, and IQ, I want you to understand. I respect you. I've known you for a long time, and we're more like brothers than most people that I do radio and television with. But you come from a different viewpoint than I do, or quote redo. And you made a point that you're not a citizen, so you can say what you want to say, and that's absolutely true. Even hopefully in this country, although not always true, a person who's a citizen should be able to say under the First Amendment of the Constitution to be able to speak their mind without being assaulted. But the reality is that you grew up in a different part of the world than, say, I did or Jim did. And so that the reaction of what you should do with a leader who non-performs will be different than what Jim and I say. We don't have a culture that takes our presidents out and shoots them after they've been tried. We can try them, and we have, but the reality is we don't, even if we convict them, we don't take them out and shoot them. Now, I understand that part of what you're saying is emotion and your anger and everything else. But Jim made the point a moment ago about the boogeyman. I have believed for the longest time that the American politicians are desperately afraid of the Iranian people, and more specifically, the leaders of Iran, because they've seen and they believe
Uh-oh. The hurricane get Dan. Did the hurricane knock his internet off? IQ, are you still with us? I think IQ is still with us. Maybe not. Hell, maybe the hurricane took everybody's internet out. Maybe it's just me talking to the ether. I don't know. Maybe it took the old skip Skype, the old Skype-a-rooney, just everybody got taken out. It's take me out bar mitzvah style. I don't know. Is it bar mitzvah style? I don't know. We'll see if Dan and IQ correct their Skypes, their skip Skypes here. And I think we may have lost both of them. So I don't know. Let's maybe Skype locked up on me. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's how this ends today. I don't know. Let's see what I can do on the AnyDesk and see what happens here. We'll do this. How about we'll quit Skype. Quit the old Skype. And I'm going to reopen Skype. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if the hurricane got us. He told about the hurricane. The pain of the hurricane. This man, he's got the pain of a hurricane coming in. Pain of the hurricane. Tell them. You tell them, and I tell them, and then they get told about it. We're going to see. We're going to go back in here, and we'll see if we fix this. We'll see if we fix this. We'll see what happens here. Let's join the call.
But he's intimidated because he desperately needs their cooperation in the in getting the nuclear agreement agreed to, which I think is crazy, but it's something he's got on his mind that he has to do. The other thing is, if the Iranian government goes out and starts killing these protesters, it also sends to me a very clear message to Europe, who is going to soon desperately need crude oil and natural gas, and they're going to need it from Iran. And so they know that they can intimidate the Europeans not to participate and support the rebels and the protesters, because they know that they've got to get oil and natural gas from Iran. So it's all intimidation and serious intimidation to manipulate and control the leadership in the West over the issues that Iran has control over.
Fantastic. I agree with all of that, except how will you in the West end up in the shit? Because if she gets away with this, of course you will end up in the shit. You think he's going to stop only in Iran? They are already infiltrating in Venezuela, in Mexico, across the border from you. They are already establishing ISIS cells near the border. How long do you think it's going to be before something like a 9/11 again, but a different one, will happen? So you are intimidated, but when you are intimidated, you will never be able to defend yourself. So
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, and I think where we're seeing that played out in a non-Muslim situation is the overtures from China about their desire to invade that other China across the sea.
Yeah, Taiwan.
Yeah, and so they haven't done it. They're intimidating and trying to intimidate the United States, and I believe that the vast majority of world leaders, good guys and bad guys, I believe that they don't believe that Joe Biden has the courage to engage Iran or Russia or China on a direct basis. And so I think that the intimidation is very, very high.
Well, in my opinion, humble as it may be, it is time for Israel to attack now. The best time for Israel to attack is now.
That may be true, but I'm not sure that if Israel decided that they were going to attack and do something, I'm not convinced, IQ, that the United States would have its back.
No, I'm not interested in the United States. The United States doesn't have anybody's back. Today, under Biden, the most cowardly institution on earth, they cannot support anybody. Israel has only herself to defend herself. And if she doesn't do it now, I don't know when they're going to do it. This is the best time. You have an internal problem with enormous proportions. And maybe they have undercover agents supporting the insurrection, or the uprising, I don't know. But it is the best time to attack. What am I doing? Sorry, go on.
I just wanted to ask you a question about what you just said, because I want to ask you the question, what is the rest of the Muslim world think about what's going on in Iran?
Ah, the rest of the Muslim world hate Iran because most of the rest of the Muslim world is Sunni and the Iranians are Shia. So there's no love affair in there. But I'll tell you what, they are afraid. Who is afraid? The only people who are afraid are the imams and the clerics of Islam. Because if these women in Iran can not overthrow necessarily, change the mindset of their leaders, they have to change the mindset of the leaders in all of the Muslim world. Believe it or not, most of the young people in Iran today who hate the regime want it out. They want regime change. They want to be free. They want to be dealt with as decent, law-abiding human beings.
So
And we're not supporting it.
You're supporting my thesis that Iran is perhaps one of the leadership of Iran is perhaps one of the most intimidating governments in the
I
world.
accept that. But how can you intimidate America? That's what I want to understand. If I'm president of America, how can any human being or any nation on earth intimidate me? Tell me, please, how? Because I will give them 24 hours and I will get them out of this world into the next world.
But what I'm trying to say to you, IQ, is that Biden has made the decision that one of the most important things he has to do is he has to get this nuclear situation as he sees it under control, and that's to bring the parties back to the table and re-sign, including the United States, to try and appease Iran into a
into
structure.
what? Into what? They're going to make a bomb. How is he appeasing them? I want to understand. They're already working on 90% enrichment. They had 60%. They're working on 90%. So how is he going to stop them? I want to know. How will this agreement in any way, shape, or form be of an advantage to Europe and America? Zero. There is zero advantage. So we are playing with word games only.
No, it's not that we're playing word games. I agree with you. There's no advantage to the United States or Europe.
So why sign it?
But let me take you back in time, IQ, probably before you were born. Neville Chamberlain in his period of appeasement with Adolf Hitler.
I know all about it.
We get him this, he gets Hitler to sign this appeasement, and Hitler says to him, you know, we won't attack other countries in Europe. He signs the agreement. Chamberlain goes home, thinks he's got a deal, peace in the world, and then Hitler blows it away. That's what's going on. People, I think by and large, people know that Iran's not going to follow the terms and the conditions of the treaty. You can't trust them.
So why sign something that you know?
Because there's one very important word that you have to put into your discussion. That word is optics.
Thank you. I accept. I accept. So you have World War. Very nice. Very nice. I agree with you.
Politicians deal with optics, and and Biden has made a commitment, a campaign commitment that he wants to re-sign the Paris Nuclear Accord.
But he made also a commitment to bring the American people together. But he's not doing it. So it's very selective. James, what do you think?
You know, honestly, I think the whole thing with Iran and them getting a nuclear weapon, if they wanted a nuclear weapon, they'd have one by now. This is the slowest process. I have just remember years and years of watching like Hannity and Combs or the O'Reilly Factor or all these things on Fox where everybody was like, oh my God, Iran's close to a nuclear weapon. It's 2022, guys. If they wanted one, wouldn't they have one by now? I don't know. It's so strange to me. But you guys are the experts. You're also better dressed than I am today. Although we don't know what IQ looks like because IQ never lets anybody know what it looks like.
He could be sitting in front of his computer screen in his underwear. Who knows?
That's right.
Smoking a cigar.
So something else that I would like to get your guys' thoughts on, which is, to me, absolutely insane that anyone would ever think this is possible. But I seen a story on the Drudge Report that, according to folks, Bernie Sanders is leaving the door open to a 2024 White House run. Does anyone really think that in 2024, A, Bernie Sanders will be allowed to have a run? Two, what the hell is the field of presidential people going to look like by then?
Octogenarians. They
just, you got Trump, who's old. You got Biden, who's old. You got Bernie, who's old.
Like, all of them are white.
All of them are white guys. It's amazing to me.
No, it's not amazing. It's just revolting.
Well, yeah.
So your question is, what is the 2024?
Yeah,
campaign?
what is that going to look like? Because Bernie, I've always thought Bernie was controlled opposition. I always thought Bernie was the Washington Generals of politics. You root for Bernie. Some of Bernie's ideas are fantastic, which is part of the reason why the corporate Democrats and the corporate Republicans never vote on any of them. However, I just don't ever really see Bernie. I know there's a lot of people that think, oh, well, if Bernie runs in 2024, that's his turn. And it's like, no, he hasn't sold out to the proper people to get a run. I always think it's interesting, like Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney ran that 1 year for president, and he got really close. And then he took 4 years, and he went and sold out to the proper people and kissed the proper ass. And then amazingly, he got the nomination the next time around. And I've always looked at Bernie kind of like I looked at Ron Paul when he used to run for the Republicans. Yeah, people like his ideas and people like him, but that corporate structure is never going to let that guy run. When Ron Paul starts talking about getting rid of the Fed, no. When Bernie starts talking about the rich paying their fair share in taxes, no. So I just always think that's just never going to happen. I would, if you're going to have somebody run that's a young person or someone younger, yes. I'd like to see this Fetterman who was running against Dr. Oz. I'd like to see him run for president. I think Fetterman would be wild as a nominee. At one point I thought AOC, but she is so sold out to Nancy Pelosi. That's never going to happen. I know that there's been some stories recently that DeSantis wants to run, and he refers to Trump as an idiot. So I don't know, Dan. What do you think of the field of presidential people? IQ's already said pretty much what everybody else is thinking, which is they're all old. They're all old. They're all old.
They're all old.
Yes.
I think that the question that needs to be asked, that should be discussed, is are we likely to see a sitting president primaried out for reelection?
Yes, it will happen. Why not?
Well, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm saying you've got to look at it and say, if the Democrats get a shellacking like I think they're going to get in the House and the Senate in November, you're going to see more candidates for the Democratic nomination for president come on board and begin to talk about running. And I could be wrong, Jim, but I don't think that there's ever been a case in history that a sitting president was primaried out before the general election. And we may have a situation that's what's going to happen, is that Joe Biden is going to be primaried out. Who's going to do it? I don't know. I don't think it's Gavin Newsom in California. I don't think he has the drawing across the country. But what I would say to you is maybe it's because we don't know who that person is yet, because maybe that person doesn't know that he or she
has been selected
or wants to run for president, and the reaction to the shellacking in the midterm. I mean, if I can create scenarios that says that Obama, when he had his first midterm election, he lost more House seats than any other sitting president in his first midterm election, 63 or 65. I can easily see you could have over 70 seats lost in the Democratic House. And that would take not only the Republicans to the majority, but a supermajority that they could override any veto by President Biden, which is very important. And so I don't know, I can't say that even though people keep asking Joe Biden, is he going to run? And Kamala says that he's going to run and I'm going to be his vice president. They're making those statements, but I don't think they have any basis in fact to do that. And that's why I think that the outcome of the midterm will be devastating to the Democratic Party, but probably more devastating than Joe Biden. When you had his former press secretary interviewed on, was it Face the Nation or Meet the Press over the weekend, when she said that the crime problem is, in essence, a huge loser for the Democratic Party. Big time loser. And see, I've got a video. I think I sent it to IQ. I'm not sure. If I didn't, I will. I did a video before the Republicans last Friday announced their new relationship of what they want to do. And I said in the video that I believe that the Republicans still haven't got their message. They may have gotten a lot closer with the Friday, but what I'm saying to you is that there's too many issues that people can argue about what's going on in the Biden administration. None of them individually are enough to get him defeated, but we're focusing on the wrong issue. So in the video that I produced, I say that this election is about you, your family, and your country. Inflation, crime, and illegal immigration. Those are the three issues that I believe are the most important thing to the American people, regardless of party, and that the Republican Party needs to focus on those three specific issues. Forget about everything else for now. Focus on those three. And if they do that, based on the polling data that I've seen just recently, that those three things are all the things that people are talking about that they're very. And so the message is there. It's a matter that can we get the Republicans across the board to get behind that congressional message and start talking about it. And how do the Democrats respond? How they respond will have a significant impact on how bad they get defeated in the midterm elections. And then in turn, what does generation, is there a new generation of Democrats that can take away the party away from Joe Biden? I don't know, but I think that he will have to run in a primary.
IQ, what do you think? Or did we lose everybody again? Okay, we'll do this. And we'll just go back in. Good old Skype. Skype's been doing all sorts of fun stuff today. The old Skype-a-rooney. Okay, we'll do this. Quit Skype. We'll quit Skype, and we'll just go back in and get Skype. That'll be how that'll work. It's just, we're almost done. 20 minutes away. You hear that clicking? That's somebody planted a bug. Oh, they haven't planted any bugs. I'm not crazy, Terrence Hayes. I'm not crazy, Terrence Hayes. None of that exists.
Of course.
There's Jimmy. Jimmy, we're going to change the subject. We beat that subject.
Hey, that's fine. Yeah, we're good.
IQ, over the weekend, the U.S. dollar versus the British pound. The pound went to 103. The lowest it's been in 50 years. The European Union's euro is below 1. It's 96. There's never been a better time to go to Europe, but there's all kinds of problems in England with the new prime minister and the new changes in the laws as far as taxes. What's going on in London?
Well, depression. People are depressed. As you said, I booked my flight to come to America in December, thank God. Otherwise, I would have to pay another 20% more. Because I booked it a month and a half ago. It was 1.11 and 1.15 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it rebounded to 1.8, 108. Mm-hmm. And the latest one, I think, is 1.10. But it's very bad, very bad. Inflation here is very bad. It's over 9%. Over 9%.
What about the rest of Europe? What do you hear?
Same. Honestly, it's going to be the worst winter for Europe and America. It will be the worst winter. Yeah. That's my opinion. It will be the worst winter for Europe and America.
So, did I know this is probably going to sound strange to say it this way, but did the passing of the Queen and the 10 days or 12 days of celebration of her life, did that lift the spirits of the British people?
Yes, it helped. It really did. I mean, the Queen was very, very popular, 100% support, not for the whole monarchy, but for her definitely. They really loved her, and she was a fantastic monarch, no question about that. Whether this will continue with King Charles III is another story. But people are... Sorry.
There have been a lot of stuff that I've been reading about William and Kate, and his relationship with his father and how quickly he made him the Prince of Wales and she was the Princess of Wales, but how much he is already using him, I guess part of his grooming process to be the heir apparent,
Correct.
but he's very much involved in running the monarchy, and he's bringing William very aggressively into it, that he's going to have a very prominent role as he prepares to be king someday.
He really should, because William is very popular. His wife is also very popular.
Right.
So it's a good idea to do that, preparing for the future. It's a very good idea. And the British people will support him 100%, no question.
I saw some of the pictures of Kate as she was wearing the mourning garb and stuff and around. She's just a gorgeous, gorgeous person.
No, she is extremely well dressed. She really, I mean, she's an attractive woman,
Yes.
and she's very polite, and they haven't created any rumors or bad vibrations, unlike the others in the family.
Right.
Yeah, no, they're really very much appreciated by the British public. No question about that one.
So can Charles III and William and Kate, well, they are monarchs. They don't rule. They don't govern. They rule. And some of us in America have a hard time understanding what the difference is, but they really can't. They don't have any power. But can they over time spirits of the British people out of this resentment?
No, as monarchs, Americans have got to understand this. The monarch is a constitutional monarch in England. Mm-hmm. They take instructions from Parliament. But the monarch is there to balance everything else. If anything goes wrong between the Conservatives and the Republic and the Labour Party, and sometimes they go really overboard, the monarch is the one who balances the two.
Now, you said a couple of weeks ago, before the Queen died, with the new Prime Minister, you thought she was no Margaret Thatcher.
Well, to be a Margaret Thatcher, you have to fill a huge pair of shoes. A huge. So we'll go and see. She promised things that were outlandish. For example, she said she will move the British embassy to Jerusalem. Why would she say that? I mean, this is an outstanding thing if she follows it up. But why would she say that? Every British government was against doing it. Every British government. Because they wanted to appease the Muslims and the Arabs.
Well, the reason why I was talking about her is I wanted to see if you had any thoughts about the new Prime Minister, the Trumpette in Italy.
Well, I'll tell you what's happening in Western Europe now is a reaction to the leftist move of all of Western Europe. You're having in America also a reaction against the leftists in America. Now, she's not a fascist. They call her a fascist. So anybody who is not pro-left is called a fascist or a Nazi. Well, this is wearing thin. It's also useless. She's not a fascist. She's a patriot. She's an American. She's an Italian Trump. 100% Italian Trump.
Yes.
Border secure, religion, and family. End of conversation. You don't like it, lump it.
She's basically talking about what you and I just talked about, of the three issues of the campaign.
Absolutely.
And it's inflation, it's crime, and it's immigration. She's talking about those three things.
But they are fundamentals. What we are discussing, is the rational thing. What the left discuss is totally irrational. They're really mentally defective. People don't like somebody to say that. But I'm telling you, leftists are mentally defectives. They are always negative, always for the worst thing in the human character. Always. They bring the worst in the human character. Anyway, they're going to lose.
Right.
In it,
Now,
by the way, in Sweden also they're turning right now.
right. I saw that. So I'm going to change horses again, Jim. I'm curious as to what insight, if any, you can give us about what's happening in Europe. We have a situation in the United States where girls as young as 13 who want to be males are having their breasts removed at 13. And there are people who are supporting her right to choose, except that she can't vote, she can't buy cigarettes, and she can't get a driver's license, and there's all these things she can't do because she's not old enough. But to make a decision to have her breasts removed as part of wokeness, is that going on in Europe?
No. It might. It will. You see, whatever happens in America filters back to you. This is a fact of life. Whatever starts in America ends up also in Europe. But the movement, the mood in Europe now is going right wing. You have Orban, who started it all in Hungary. You have the Polish government also. Now you have Sweden. Now you have Italy. And Greece is most probably another one. So it's a domino effect. The minute you break the ice, it's a domino effect.
So what I heard Tucker Carlson say recently about the election of the woman Trump for Italy is that the Italian people have basically spoken out, and they're saying, we don't care what other people are saying. This is the way it's going to be in Italy. The hell with the rest of Europe.
That's exactly what she said, in public, by the way. She never, you know what I like about her? She doesn't miss her words. I don't miss my words. I'm telling you exactly what I think and I believe is right. If I'm wrong, show me why I'm wrong. I don't mind. I will listen to you. I will rectify. But you've got to convince me I am wrong. If you can't convince me, don't bother. She said, we want God, country, and family. End of conversation. That's exactly what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And she will do it. And the Italian people, a majority of them, support her. End of conversation. Again, that's it. They don't like it, lump it. My way or the highway.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
So you booked your passage to the United States?
Already.
And when and where are you coming to?
Top secret.
Oh, it's top secret.
Top secret. No, honestly, I swear to you. Look, you laugh, but it's not a. Look what happened to Salman Rushdie. He only wrote a book which is a fiction. I don't deal with fiction. I'm more deadly than he is. So what do you think I'm suffering?
You don't want to be dead, though.
No, I don't want to be dead. I want to be alive and to see Islam destroyed.
Do you think that will happen?
No, look, as I said to you, if you could convince Tucker or Hannity to give me 15 minutes, that's all you need to do. 15 minutes I want. If I win the lotto, let's say $100 million or $50 million, I will put in New York Times, not on New York Times, the Washington, one of the newspapers which publish properly, I will give $1 million for an interview of 15 minutes. 1 million I will give. How much more do you want? I swear to you, I'll give $1 million for an interview for 15 minutes. That's all I need is 15 minutes. And Islam will be finished. I'm talking about the belief system. So let's not mix them up. I'm not advocating death of Muslims or destruction of Muslims. No. It's destruction of the belief system. Based on what? On their own belief system. On their own books.
Well, I think Jim would agree that even Donald Trump would be hard pressed to get 15 minutes on Hannity.
Wow. With $1 million also? I don't believe that.
No, it's,
I will offer $1 million.
but the practical reality in television today, and more so in television than radio, is that everything is sound bites, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, not 15. And Jim's shaking his head because he knows that that's true.
Well, I'll tell you
So-
what, with an offer of $1 million, they will have more people watching than the death of the Queen. Because everybody wants to know what IQ Rasul is going to talk about for $1 million.
But
They will
see,
make money.
I'm not trying to burst your bubble,
That's okay.
but it ain't going to happen for $1 million, will it, Jim?
Why not? Give me.
You know, in radio, payola probably would still work, but in TV, you're going to be hard pressed. You're going to have Ross Perot kind of money.
Yeah, keep in mind, IQ, that in the midterm election, off-year election, the parties expect to spend on promotion, advertising and promotion on the campaign, about $8 billion.
Wow.
$8 billion.
This is how you buy an election. That's exactly what it is. How to buy an election. This is nothing to be proud of, by the way. To spend money to get an election done is not to be proud of. People should elect you for your character. People should elect a politician for what he's doing, not what he's telling. I don't judge a human being by his color, by his race, or by his gender. I judge them by what they do, not what they say. They can say from here to eternity anything they want to say. I don't give a damn. Is he doing it? Is he acting? Is she acting? Yes or no? That's it. That's how I elect. I elect people because of what they're doing.
I understand that, but what I'm saying in today's political environment,
No, I believe you. I understand. 8 billion, my God. That's more money than you need to do the wall in America.
you know that in the governor or in the Senate race in the state of Georgia, it's now estimated that the two campaigns will spend over $100 million in Atlanta.
I accept that, but that's obscene money. This is needed for the American people, for people who are in need, for Vietnam veterans, for not only for all the veterans, not just Vietnam veterans, to give it to hospitals. That's obscene money. To me, it's mind-boggling stupidity. But that's what you have. This is the system. You buy the system. You buy the election. That's what you're doing.
That's true. And it costs more money to buy an election today than when John Kennedy was running for president.
Yeah. Even without inflation.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're right. It's obscene. But the people who have money have so much more of it that they can give away to try and it's just like what we had in the election in the last cycle of the 40 prosecutors in the major cities around the United States. That money came from our Hungarian friend who,
Soros.
Yeah, he spent something like $40 million getting those 40 people, 40 prosecutors, because he had the money.
Correct, but it's mind-boggling. You have more billionaires in America than anybody else, and he's the only one who is doing this. Why? You mean there are no Republican supporters who are billionaires who can do the same? Why? Why aren't they doing the same? Why is he doing it? Always Soros, as if he's richer than what's his name? The richest guy.
The richest guy. I know, there's a list. It's too bad there's a list, but there's a list.
Well, he's not that rich.
Elon
He's
Musk.
only billion. Musk.
Yeah, the richest guy is Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk is what, 300, 400 million, 200 billion, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But Soros is only a few billions. and yet he's doing so much damage. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And nobody is murdering him, assassinating him, or doing anything to him. Amazing, absolutely amazing. People who do less than he does get prison terms for a life. He does worse, and nobody does anything for him
Yep.
Right.
or to him.
Because he's not doing it directly. He's providing the funding mechanism
Yes.
for the organization.
Yeah, but please. In law, it's like me giving James $100,000 to murder somebody. I'm not doing it. James is doing it. But I am also responsible. I am in a court of law an instigator. I'll have to spend the rest of my life in prison for murder.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So, look, I understand what life is all about. I don't agree with what's happening, but I have to accept that this is the fact of reality.
I need to ask you one more quick question
Of
before we
course.
run out of time. I have not seen a lot of news, but maybe it's because it's filtered. Is the crime problem in Europe as bad as it is in the United States?
The crime, especially by Muslims. I keep repeating it. The greatest number of women murdered and raped in Europe are done by Muslims. Okay? Yes, it's very bad. But just like in America, they cover it up. They whitewash it. They tell you he is from Asia. Which Asia?
Well, the
Which
reason why
part
I asked is because there was a report that came out last night where they talk about the significant percentage of the crime, elevation of crime in our country. The records are now showing it's the majority of it's coming from immigrants.
Of course.
Legal
Of
coming
course.
into the country.
In Germany, it's the same thing. In every European country, including England, they cover it up. In every country, they cover it up. They don't tell you he's a Muslim.
So
Asian.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. I know we're over, Jim. I apologize.
That's fine. No, we're good.
So if I come to London, is it a good time to buy real estate in London?
I'll tell you what, at the moment, the prices are through the ceiling. The prices are very high. But with the dollar and pound exchange, yes, it's worth it. It is worth it, honestly.
Do you think prices in general are going to come down because of the recession?
I'll tell you what. Everybody tells you the prices goes down. That's not true. The prices go up 100%, then it comes down 10%, and everybody's crying. But it went 100%. Then it goes 30% down. But you made 100% to start with. You cannot lose.
Okay.
As long as you buy intelligently, you cannot lose. You buy, let's say, a property which needs
And what are rents like?
refurbishment. It needs refurbishment. That's the best buy.
What's happening to rents?
Rent is through the ceiling. I'll tell you why. Two reasons. In 2020, because of COVID, all the rentals went down because people couldn't. There were nobody was coming to England except the illegal immigrants, and they can't afford it. So all the rents went down. Now, since the beginning of this year, 2022, rents went up 30 to 40% up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done, Jim.
Well, before we let you guys go, Dan, let's start with you. How do we get a hold of you online and everything else?
Let's take another program to answer your question, but anyway, the basic website is danperkins.guru, which links you to blacksandwhites.us, also to Songs and Stories for Soldiers. And I'm waiting to hear to make a significant announcement for Songs and Stories, or two, but I can't say anything until we put the deal together. Blacks and Whites across Blacks US. I have a new show called Dan After Dark, and what I'm doing is, since I'm on like Jim's show, and Jim's show is not on my network, I've got permission from Jim to rebroadcast appearances, and I do it on 3 or 4 or 5 other different shows that I'm on throughout the week. And Every Wednesday night, there's a new show. It starts at 12:30 a.m. and it's called Dan After Dark, and you can get it through blacksandwhites.us. We're selling copies of Sad Eyes and Abraham Lincoln, and our publisher, Hollis Media, at hollismedia.net, has a special deal where the Lincoln is 2 books and Sad Eyes is 1 book. So there's 3 books in the package, and you can buy the package of all 3. You get a discount, and you can make installment payments interest free. So it's hollismedia.net. Look at the book section for Sad Eyes and Blacks and Whites. And thank you, sir.
Fantastic. And IQ, I will talk to you on Thursday. And Dan, I will talk to you next week. Thank you, guys. There they go. The fantastic Dan Perkins and IQ Al-Razali. Yes, indeed.